Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual public information meeting for State Project 0134-0153, which is the removal of culvert number 0712 carrying Route 190 in Stafford, Connecticut. My name is Isu Vlashi, and I am the project engineer with the Connecticut Department of Transportation for this project. We hope that everyone finds the presentation informative and that we'll be able to address any questions or concerns you may have. I also wanted to thank the first selectman, Bill Morrison, for helping to coordinate tonight's meeting and for working closely with the DOT on the development of this project. As you'll see in tonight's technical portion of the presentation, we are trying our best to provide the best solution for the town and to the project stakeholders. We also have a project email, and you would be able to ask us any questions after tonight's meeting. And the email is dotproject0134-0153@ct.gov, or at two telephone numbers. The first is 860-594-2020, or at 860-594-2078. You could also visit the project webpage to find out more information on the project and to view the latest plans. The project webpage is https://portal.ctt.gov/dot/projects/0134-0153-Stafford. A recording of this presentation will be posted after the live event. Closed captioning, including non-English translation options, will be available at that time. Next slide, please. As part of Title VI Civil Rights, no person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. A link is provided on this slide for additional civil rights information. We would greatly appreciate if you would complete the public survey after tonight's meeting. A link and a QR code are provided on this slide. Links to both the public survey and the civil rights flyer are also available on the project website, as mentioned on the first slide. A recording of this presentation will be posted to YouTube after the event. Next slide, please. This is a Title VI notice to the public, which states that the Connecticut Department of Transportation operates its programs and services without regard to race, color, and national origin in accordance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Any person who believes she or he has been aggrieved by any unlawful discriminatory practice under Title VI may file a complaint with the CTDOT. Next slide, please. There are three ways that you'll be able to communicate with us during and after this meeting. The first listed on the screen is by email, and the email address is dotproject0134-0153@ct.gov. You can also call us by phone at 860-594-2020 or at 860-594-2078. The Q&A box will be offered tonight to also ask us questions during the meeting. We'll go over how to use this function in more detail on the next slide. Please note that comment period will be open through May 30th, 2024. Please go to the next slide. To use the Zoom Q&A function, select the Q&A tool at the bottom of the webinar window. The Q&A window will open as seen on the right. Then you can type the question in the text box and click enter, and it will submit the question. Next slide, please. Before we get started with the main presentation, I want to walk through the goals and format for tonight's meeting. First, I'll introduce the project team, including the department's leadership and our consultant liaison team. Then we will have a technical portion of the presentation, which will include the condition of the existing structure, the purpose and need for the project, and the recommended design, which has progressed to about a 30% level. The plans, schedule, and dates are in the preliminary design and are subject to change if needed. Following the technical presentation, we will open up the forum to comments and questions. Next slide, please. I'd like to introduce the project team. First, from the Connecticut Department of Transportation, we have Bart Sweeney, the Division Chief of Bridges, Derek Lassard, Principal Engineer, Francisco Fadul, Project Manager, and myself, Isu Flashi, Project Engineer. On the consultant liaison side for CHA, we have the Project Manager, Donald Wurst, and the Project Engineer, Dionis Quesada. Next slide. Here, I'll pass the presentation over to our CLE, who will be able to take it from here.
Thank you, Yusuf. So we'll start discussing about the project, State Project 134, 153. Here's a location map, as you can see in resemblance to where Stafford Springs is located. The state project is to the west, close to West Stafford Springs. It is located within Route 190, close to the intersection with Route 30. Here's a close-up aerial image. You can see that the state project is within the middle between Edson Brook that flows from north to south, and Diamond Ledge Brook that also goes from north to south. The culvert, you can see it highlighted in blue. It goes from the property at the corner of Hampden Road and West Stafford Road. From that building, it goes down southeast, close to another property, as you can see in the lawn. We will talk about more of the culvert itself, and you can see that it's also located right in front of the car auto parts, the Napa Auto Parts in West Stafford. To go more about the project itself, we kind of want to give you the reasons of the project itself. The purpose of this project is to remove the stone arch, which will avoid potential roadway undermining. We're trying to avoid future problems, future inspection, and future maintenance. In order to do this, there are a couple of the needs. The needs are to maintain reasonable travel during construction, maintain access to adjacent properties, create a safe and passable roadway at the completion of the construction, and maintain utility service during construction. In order to do all this, we also have some goals. Some goals are to remove all culvert elements, which is our primary purpose, to create a consistent roadway structure through the site, minimize the travel interruptions on Route 190 and Hampden Road during construction, avoid utility impacts as mentioned in the needs, and the contractor would need to mitigate groundwater effects on adjacent properties to the two properties that are nearby on both the southeast and the northwest corner. Here's a more image of what the as-built looks like. This is from a 1950 as-built plans that were designed back then. We put an aerial image so you can have a good image, a good idea of where things are located. As you can see in highlighted yellow and red, that is the culvert. That is what we believe to be the existing culvert underneath Route 190. You can see the old reminiscent of the dams that used to exist in the mill that is located at the corner of Hampden Road. It used to go from there, flow southeast onto this private property and go down into Diamond Ledge Brook. You can also see that to the east of the culvert itself, there's a drainage system. It is colored in blue, that is catch basins, and then they go on into the east side of the project. And as you can see, the Napa Auto Parts to better situate yourself for where we are located. So now we're going down beneath the roadway. This is are a couple images that we took. This is most of the records that we have about this culvert, inside of the culvert, that is. Looking the southeast, this is what it looks. There's this bulkhead located on that southeast property. You can see the groundwater. That is all groundwater at a very high elevation. Then you can go look on the right picture. This is looking northwest. You can see that there's groundwater as well. And we found out that there's actually a curve and it's not as straight as it was shown on the as-built. We look further into it and we're gonna show the actual footprints of this culvert itself. As we then start looking, the reason how we were able to find that the culvert was there was when the CT Water Company was installing their water main in Route 190 back in 2022. They punctured through this culvert. When they punctured through the culvert, Connecticut DOT needed to inspect it, see what was there. They made an opening, and as you can see, that's what the image showed. That's the opening as they went in, found out that there was actually this culvert. After the culvert was there, the water main went over it with insulation for frosting. Once that was done, there was riprap placed to act as a concrete form. And after the riprap was up to a high elevation, they poured the concrete form. They patched the culvert back to its place, and it's still structurally sound. After that was done, CHA and Connecticut DOT worked together to find out the actual footprints of this culvert. Here is an image of a picture taken of up on Route 190 to see the footprints of the actual culvert. This is the kink that I was telling you from the prior image that has a little curve here. The two properties located, the southeast property, there's the bulkhead over there, and then the northwest property, which the old mill used to be. Here is the Napa Auto Parts. As you can see, the curve is right in front of it. Something I also want to point out in this picture, there is utility poles located really close, which we will talk more about the construction itself in the project disturbance areas. As we move forward into the disturbing area, you can see this layout here. You can see in green is the proposed grass. Those are places where grass will be excavated, the soil will be excavated to get to the culvert. But they will be proposed topsoil and new grass will be established. Also here at the crossing island as well. In orange is the property lines. This is the limits of full excavation within pavement areas. This is all going to be proposed pavement, full depth reconstruction after the project is completed. More information about the scope of work, going from the top of the roadway down into the culvert itself. The contractor will go out there, excavate from the pavement down, get to the existing arch, start removing the stones. Once the top stones are removed, they will dewater the culvert, get rid of all the groundwater, and then they'll start installing bulkheads adjacent to private property if needed. They'll remove everything that's inside of the culvert itself, and then they start installing and compacting granular material. Once that is all compact, the granular material is inside the culvert and everything, the culvert is removed. It's just regular granular material and compacted. They start building it up and reconstruct the full depth of pavement and bring it back to to what it's out there right now. More on how the work is done. As of right now, we are recommending two stages. The stage one is placing barriers on the east side of Route 190. So it'll be on the eastbound of Route 190. The stage one will be construction on that private property, removing the culvert there. The driveway will be impacted. Once that work is all said and done, excavating and removing the stone culvert, the contractor will backfill, place topsoil, reestablish turf, and pave the driveway that were disturbed as well. That is all outside of the existing traffic area. Route 190 will have traffic going, no problems, no disturbance to ongoing traffic. That is stage one. Once stage one is completed, the barriers will be removed. The contractor would then do stage two. So stage two requires a detour um, for 3 days or less, closing the entire road and actually putting a pavement on the crossing island. So Hampton Road has two-way traffic going in and out into Route 190. The contractor would do this whole work within 3 days or less, pave the portion of the grass island after it's all said and done, having the two-way traffic to accommodate the Hampton Road. Concrete barriers will protect the excavation limits, as you can see in pink. Then the contractor will excavate, remove the stone cover, and then after it's all said and done, backfill, pave roadways, install curbing, place topsoil, and install pavement markings. Here's what the detour will look like. The hatch area is where the construction site is located. It is a mile long detour. We are recommending that this is done in a mid of the week during no school days in the summer. This is maintained by Connecticut DOT using Route 30 and Route 140. And this is going to go on for 3 days or less. Now, there's an alternate investigation based on the first selectman, Bill Morrison. He had detour concern due to the hospital and the traffic that goes in Route 190. So we started looking, and we are still in more design and looking and considering other alternates as well. So removing the portion of the culvert below 190 in 2 stages is one of the alternates. There's some things that we took in consideration. There's site constraint, and the culvert skew will not allow for two-lane of traffic. So two-way traffic during construction is not likely to happen. One-way alternating traffic in a single lane will be necessary, and it's the way to go to avoid full closure of the Route 190 and avoid the detour that we were just recommending. Temporary traffic signals will be required to manage traffic at construction site. So there will be a stop bar alternating one side and then stopping that traffic and then alternating the other way to pass by. Investigation of details and impacts to the public have not been finalized, so we're still looking for more information, and we will sharpen our pencils and look more into such alternates. The pros of doing such stages in without detours and doing it with construction stages like this is the good things is detour routes are not required. Level of traffic flow will be maintained through the area, including emergency vehicles, so they can still get from the east to west using Route 190. The negative impacts is it's a longer construction duration and impacts to traffic and business will last 3 months. It's difficult to maintain traffic exiting Hampton Road. It's tough to lay out a one-way alternating where they can have a free of turning right and left. So they will have long queues, and it has difficulty in maintaining culvert stability at stage because of how the skew of the angle is and the adjacent traffic traveling close to the excavating limits of the culvert itself. At the end of the day, once the project is set and complete and done, you will have no enhancement. There's no upgrade. Everything's just going to look the same as there is today. New project pavement is going to be at the limits of excavation, and it's going to be squared up with what's there existing. So this is what looking east, looking west, it's going to be very similar to that. We looked at further items, environmental impacts. There is no environmental or no permanent impacts to environmental regulated areas. Due to the Crystal Lake Brook 100-year flood zone, Connecticut DOT submitted a flood management general permit plan because we're working so close to this area. There are private property impacts, as we are aware. We will try to keep vehicle access to adjacent property. Everything will be modified as practical as possible during construction to maintain the level of access. Connecticut DOT is considering removing portion of existing stone culvert on adjacent private property, as we mentioned, on that grass area on the southeast corner. Further coordination with adjacent property owners will take place, so we will follow up and coordinate more with the adjacent property owners. And temporary construction easement may be required for installation of bulkheads on the right-of-ways if needed. I will pass it on to Matt from DOT.
Yeah. Thanks, Dionis. I'm Matt Giannakopoulos. I'm a project coordinator with the department's Division of Rights of Way. It is our office's responsibility to acquire the property rights that are needed for transportation projects. And as Dionis just kind of mentioned there, the proposed project may require the acquisition of some temporary construction easements from some of the properties in the immediate vicinity of the culvert. So I'm here tonight just to elaborate a little bit on that and give a brief overview of the department's acquisition process. So when we talk about temporary construction easements, what we're referring to is a type of property right that the department acquires when it needs to use private property in order to build the project, but the current owner, they would still own the underlying land, and the easement gets released once the project is completed. Any necessary construction easements or any other property rights that end up being required for the project will be acquired in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes sections 13A-73 and 13A-98E. And whenever there is federal money used in any phase of a project, the department must adhere to the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Properties Acquisition Policies Act of 1970. Let me go to the next slide, please. Okay, so once we're a little bit further into design and we know exactly the limits of any easements or other property rights that are required for the project, and we're ready to begin the acquisition process, each impacted property owner will receive a letter of intent to acquire from our office, along with a property map which depicts the exact rights to be acquired. At that point, we ascertain the fair market value of those property rights, and we use that to establish an offer of just compensation. That offer gets sent out to the property owner in writing, and an agent from our office is available to meet directly with the owner, answer any questions, and explain, in detail the project, the impacts to that particular property, and explain how the department came up with the offer. The property owner has a reasonable time to consider the offer and enter into negotiations. Once an agreement is reached, the DOT prepares all the necessary paperwork to transfer those property rights, to file a deed and a property map on the town land records. However, if negotiations reach an impasse, in order to keep allow the project to move forward, the department may acquire the property rights it needs through its power of eminent domain. And what happens in that event is the department files a notice in the local superior court, along with a monetary deposit in the amount of the department's offer of just compensation. The property owner would have 6 months from that date to file an appeal if they thought that the department's offer was inadequate. Now, whether or not the owner chooses to use their right to appeal, they can apply to withdraw that deposit from the court at any time. So I know a lot of times people hear eminent domain and they think it means the state can just take your whole property for $1 or things like that. But any impacted property owners would be entitled to at least that offer of just compensation, and the department would only take title to the rights that it needs to allow the project to move forward, which in this particular case, we're expecting that just to be some temporary construction easements. No matter how those easements end up being acquired, once the project is complete, the department files an affidavit on the land records that releases any temporary easements, and all property rights go back to the owner. So I'll be here doing the Q&A to answer any questions, but in the meantime, I'm going to pass it over back to Dionis to finish with the presentation.
Thank you, Matt. So finalizing the project itself, the anticipated construction cost is around $700,000. It is 100% state funded, no cost to the town. And the anticipated project schedule, as of now, design completion is anticipated for October 2024, with a start of construction on spring 2025, with an approximate of 1.5 months based on a construction staging that includes the 3-day roadway closure of the detour, which time the traffic was detoured. If not, 3 months if it's alternating one-way traffic. As of now, we'll open it up and I'll pass it back to you, Isu, for questions and answers. Again, Feel free to send any questions and to by email, dotproject0134-0153@connecticut.gov. If you want to do by phone, here are the two phone numbers, 860-594-2020 or 860-594-2078. You can also submit your questions here through the Zoom. I see that there are a couple of questions. Or you can also visit the project webpage at portal.connecticut.gov/dot/0134-0153-Stafford. As Yusuf mentioned before, the comment period is open through May 30th, 2024. Alrighty, so we'll open it up to questions. I see there is one. So to open, Samuel, you had the question if you are allowed to vocally speak. Um, I don't think you can speak in this meeting. Anything you can call, but you can also ask your questions here, and we'll be open to answering them. Demetrius, will pedestrians access be maintained along Route 190? Yes, as of now, there is not much of a sidewalk aside from the sidewalk right in front of 191 West Stafford Road. That will be open through construction. However, doesn't seem like there is any leadway to where that goes, but we will mitigate pedestrians access through the construction. Okay, Samuel, go ahead and ask your questions. We'll wait. We'll wait here. All right, so the first question, traffic needs to be diverted along Diamond Ledge Road as well for the traffic diversion. Let's go back. Traffic. Or Don, can you speak about Diamond Ledge Road, diversion of the traffic there?
Yeah, hello, this is Don Worst from CHA. Samuel, can you clarify your comment about Diamond Ledge Road? Are you saying that traffic traveling on Diamond Ledge Road will need to be detoured as part of this? Or are you saying that Diamond Ledge Road is another option for traffic to take during a detour period? Because our understanding of the area is Diamond Ledge Road is to the north, and we are not planning to sign any detours along that road or prevent traffic from using Diamond Ledge Road. We can move on to other questions while Samuel clarifies for us if I haven't answered his question properly.
Okay, so Chris, we'll go back. We'll go in order as we go down. Owner of 182, 184 West Stafford Road, I would like to know what you mean by bulkheads adjacent to private properties. Christina, yeah, so at this moment, there is a bulkhead, I think in that property, 182, 184, that's existing. That is to stop the groundwater that was flowing and diverted into the pipe that used to go down that property. If we if the Connecticut DOT does not remove this portion, a bulkhead will be placed adjacent to your property, and that's similar to what's existing there. However, if we were to remove the entire portion that's in your property, no bulkheads will be placed there. But there is an existing bulkhead there that acts as a wall um, for that groundwater. Okay. Christina has another question. As one of the main private property owners, who will be affected? Will we have a main direct contact with Connecticut DOT for concerns before, during, and after this project?
Hey, Dionis, I can answer that. So this is Magicopoulos. I'm with the Division of Rights of Way. And so during the life of the project, there'll be many different, disciplines that are working on it that may have more direct knowledge of any specific questions you have. But before, during, and after, I can definitely be your point of contact. And if I don't have the immediate information available for you, I'd be happy to get it. So yeah, as the project coordinator for the rights of way side on this project, then that main point of contact would be me, and could always reach out to me if you had any concerns, and I would get them to the appropriate place. So I will put my contact info in the chat so you have it. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. I'm going to add just a little more to that. When this project gets to construction, the construction itself will be managed by Condat District 1. They will provide contacts at the time if you have questions or concerns during the actual construction of the project. At this time, we don't know who in the district is assigned to it, but that information will be presented as we get closer to actual construction.
Just going to add to that as well. My name is Isu Flashi. I am the project engineer for the project, and Matt is on the right-of-way side. You can also reach out to myself, and I will drop my email and telephone number as well.
All right, next question from Demetrius. Can a pedestrian make its way along Route 190? Will access be closed for both vehicles and pedestrians? Will someone be able to walk from Route 30 to Kroll Road? If this question is for during detour, yes, a pedestrian should be able to make its way along Route 190. We'll make sure to mitigate and include pedestrians access. The other question, will access be closed for both vehicles and pedestrians? No, just for vehicles. And will someone be able to walk from Route 30 to Kroll Road? So I know Route 30 is to the west of Route 190. I don't know where Kroll Road is exactly. Okay, I see it now. Yes. Yes, with pedestrians access implemented during construction, we should be able to mitigate pedestrians.
Yeah, pedestrian access will be along the south side of 190. We can't maintain it on the north side because the culvert actually touches the building at the northwest corner.
Now, yep, so that's good. Samuel, he has, if looking to go westerly along 190, you need to detour around the area. Yes, so the idea is if we're gonna go through Route 190 down to the west side, a detour may be necessary to avoid construction. We recommend using state routes, that's Route 140 and Route 30 from Stafford Springs. Donna, right, she has a question. Do you consider working during the night rather than during the daylight hours? We are still in preliminary design and workout times. If that is something that is okay with the public, it's something we should consider and probably we'll think about adding it to the plan. Next question from Deb. Coming out from under the factory, there is a lot of water being pumped almost daily into the culvert on Hampton Road. Deb, we are familiar with this. This is one of the reasons we're thinking of removing majority of the culvert itself. So hopefully that once this is all said and done, there's not so much water coming out of that building anymore. Deb has another comment. I believe the pipe dam is under the factory, or it was a diner in the 60s and early 70s. So Connecticut DOT and myself, we went into the basement of the property. We've noticed that there is a lot of water that comes back from the culvert itself. It seems that there are some holes, some holes where groundwater seems to kind of penetrate through the bottom of the basement and come into the basement floor, and then that's the water that's being pumped out. It's our belief that that pump is actually pumping all the groundwater from the culvert out into the catch basins. Samuel has another question. As for the potential other option for means and method, has it been considered to install vertical vents, drains, to drain the culvert and pump with a centrifuge fill to mitigate the need for traffic control, excavation activities, filling, paving, and right-of-way issues? This will essentially require minimum above ground activities to minor traffic control for concrete truck and possibly a pump truck. That's a great question, Samuel. Don is more expert than I am. And then we did look flowable fill being added here from up top to avoid more of the construction that gets done up in the Route 190. Don.
I think I could add to this here, Dionis. So Samuel, before a project gets to this level, um, internally within the department and our consultants, we have RSR reviews, which basically are rehabilitation study reports for all projects. And everything kind of has been taken into account. And at this time, the department feels that this is the best alternative to move forward with the project. So to answer that question, I think that we've considered all other alternatives, but at this time, we believe this is what's best for the project. If Don or Francisco or Dionis, if you guys would like to add to that, it may be good. If not, we could close this out.
Yeah, this is Don Worst again. I can add a little more on that. The stone arch itself is quite substantial, so it is a very large feature that's below the State Route 190. It can cause problems now. It can cause future problems, as was evidenced when Connecticut Water was installing their water main. At the time, it was unknown, and CT Water is trenching along the road to install their water main, and they hit this object that no one knew was there. So through various studies like Isuf talked about, we deemed it would be best overall to totally eliminate the structure. And the only way that can be done is to excavate the area and physically remove the stones, remove the water that's currently standing inside the culvert, and then put back a typical roadway section.
Alrighty. I hope that answered the cons of the consideration. Still one of the things was if we do the flowable fill, there would still be the stones would still be there, and we thought it would be best to just remove the entire structure. All right. Feel free to ask any other questions. Don, do you want to answer more on the cons of the flowable fill?
Yeah, dear honest, I could try this one. The flowable fill option, what we felt was that the water from our ground survey here, it seems clear that the water is standing water, and the culvert doesn't currently convey water, just like a normal culvert configuration. And we felt like this was just standing water. And by doing flowable fill, that would just keep the obstacle there to allow water to dissipate normally. And to remove the stones gives us that ability to allow stormwater to just dissipate naturally. The stone is actually creating an obstacle to allow the water to dissipate naturally.
Okay. Next question is from Beth. Any guess as to how old the stone arch structure is? Don, correct me if I'm wrong. Is this arch from the 1800s?
We did speak with the Stafford Historical Society early on in this project. They sent us some documentation about the mill complex that used to exist at the site. I don't recall offhand when the mill was built, but we do know that Honda abandoned this structure and made modifications to that northwest corner in the 1940s. After the mill was no longer in place and the mill pond dam that was there was breached during a storm event to prevent, damage to the area by so much water being impounded. We could probably look that up, or if you're curious, the Stafford Historical Society has that information for you.
Deb mentioned it's from the 30s. In the big flood pictures I saw in the hall in Staffordville near the post office. So it's from the 30s. Thank you. Staffordville post office.
Dionys, do you think you could just have the slide up with our contact information if anybody needs that? If you don't mind, please. Thank you.
Which side are you starting on, the factory or the house side? That's Deb's question. Right now, we're very early in design. We have been recommending to start from the house side to be stage 1 and move ourselves into the northwest corner. So from the house side to the factory.
Any other questions at this time?
Thanks. Good luck. Glad you are starting on the house auto parts side from the. Sounds good.
There seem to be several questions concerning detours. If that's still unclear, please pose questions to us, and the team can go over them here. We don't want it to seem like there's still lingering questions here. We want those questions clarified here for everybody. So please do type them in if there are still questions left concerning detours or the maintenance and protection of traffic slides. Dionys, please take us back to those slides just to have us ready for that. Thank you. This goes also to pedestrian access and any type of access. If there are still pending questions about those types of issues, please type them into the Q&A. Got a question pending. Dione, do you want to take over?
Sure. Donna Wright asks, will you expose the length of the culvert before assembling it, so you could photograph the structure to provide a record of the structure? Yes, we can do something. It can be in the contract plans for the contractor to take a picture and record it.
Let me just add to that too, Dionys. If we choose to go with the construction staging that fully closes 190 and detours traffic, that would make that request a whole lot easier because the contractor will not have to maintain active traffic and stages in the area. And they could uncover the entire top length of the culvert, take pictures of the complete culvert in place. If we have to do it in stages, it will be a sequence of pictures, and you will never get a full view of the culvert that way. Thank you.
A question from Christina. The Historical Society should be involved in the timing and request. We have coordinated with SHPO, Society Historics, and they have announced that this is not a historic structure, but we are to record it.
Yep, and we have, as I said before, we have talked with the Stafford Historical Society directly as well. So they're aware of their project, and they've actually shared some great information with us about it.
Thank you.
It looks like there is two attendees with their hands raised. If you do have questions, please type them in the chat. If not, please remove that.
Alrighty.
If there is no further questions, we will end this meeting. Dionys, it looks like there's another question.
There's another question. When will construction start? Construction is set to start in spring of 2025. So yeah, it's next year. Donna has a comment. Will you all be on site during construction? As as Don mentioned before, this gets passed on to District 1 construction. We take this through the design phase until construction starts, then it gets handed down to the construction team. We still have some oversight if there is any questions about design phases. Harold has a question. What is the depth of the culvert? Based on the findings, the culvert is said to be 4 feet high by about 10 feet wide. The spans are like 10 feet. It is located approximately 3 to the top of the stone arch, and then the stone arch are like about a foot. So it's about 3 feet to the stone, and then 1 foot, and then 4 feet of height. Samuel has a question. Is this a union prevailing wage project or open shop? Is this going out to bid? Yusuf, do you want to answer the DOT process on how this goes out to bid?
I'll divert this to Francisco.
Yes, thank you, Isu and Diony. DOT normally tends to bid these types of projects. That hasn't been fully determined yet for this particular project. As part of the design team here, we developed the contract plans to transfer over to processing and to contract development to have those contract plans be either transferred over to a advertising process that has not been fully determined here for this particular project, but normally our projects do follow the design bid build type of process where we design it, hand it over to our team that handles advertising for state projects, and then contractors bid on it, and the winning bid basically constructs it. We wouldn't know if this is a union type of project or something that is non-union. That would be spelled out in the contract documents. And prevailing wage is the state's current process, and we wouldn't deviate from that.
Next question is from Harold. What makes it urgent now that it be replaced? When the Connecticut water impacted the culvert itself, there was no water to the adjacent property owners. Um, so the all groundwater was there, was able to be dispersed and went through its natural ways. After that impact, the inspection inside, when the riprap was constructed to close the culvert itself, so it is structurally sound, so Route 190 traffic does not have any undermining in the near future. It caused certain water to infiltrate, and the basement was kind of already maybe was wet, but this just didn't help the cause. Doing this, we thought now that we know that there's a culvert there, that it's better for the traffic, the public to be just removed to avoid any future um, catastrophe that from undermining or anything that could happen in the long run. So now that we know it, we thought it to address it.
Just wanted to add to that, the only this project's not considered urgent for the Connecticut DOT. It's a project that's been loaded into our cycle of projects to maintain a state of good repair of the DOT structures. Just like Dione mentioned here, there's the possibility that this structure could undermine the roadway above, and we're being proactive in taking care of this issue that was found in 2022, more or less. And we believe that this is the right time to address this issue now, rather than standing by for future issues to show up. Thank you.
Next question from Donna. Was concrete used in the building of the old stone arch culvert? Based on the inspection that we did, it looks like there is a big block of concrete that was used to block the exit from that mill to the existing culvert. So there was a patch job using concrete from the old stone arch, but it seems that there are some holes that infiltrates water from the groundwater up. So yes, to answer your question, there was concrete used. Harold has a question. Does it impact the wetlands and the existing stream on the south side of Route 190? It does not impact the wetland. This culvert is completely closed. The outlet has been buried, so there is no outlet. So the water that gets trapped here is all groundwater. So it's not connected. It does not convey any existing stream, either north or south of the Route 190. So no impacts to wetlands. Yep, no problem. There's also no inlet as well. Christina has a question. If the culvert is currently moving water, what would the accommodation be to ensure there is not an issue with adjacent properties? Based on all the research we've done, we can say that there is no moving water. The case, if there is moving water, then we will address it accordingly. But at the moment, based on all our borings that we've done, all our existing information, we've come to realize it's more of groundwater. But if there's a accommodation needed to be taken for adjacent property owners, we will look into it. Thank you for all the good questions. Again, there's ways you guys can contact us. You can go on the Connecticut DOT website for this project, or call us, email us. Um, anyway, that seems easier for you guys, for everybody. Alrighty. Again, questions can be asked all the way until May 30th. So do not feel rushed. If some question pops in your head, tomorrow, feel free to ask. We will always look into implementing if it does mean that it's gonna better the public. So please do not feel shy. If nothing comes up for today, you can still contact us. I think we're over the 1 hour mark. Okay, Samuel, how is this project funded? It's 100% state funded. Francisco, if you want to talk more about the specific programs that this project is funded and the money.
No, it's the question has been answered. It's 100% state funded. Samuel, if you had more specific question as to the funding source itself, the breakdown from where in the state dollars does this come from? Please type that in. But at the moment, yes, it's going to be fully funded by the state of Connecticut.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna give it 5 more minutes or 3 more minutes, up to you, Yusuf. Um, and then after that, all questions can be come through phone or email.
Yeah, Dionys, we can give them a couple more minutes here. And like Dionys stated previously, we have the project email where we are actively looking at questions, and we'll actively be looking after this meeting. DOT project 0134-0153 at ct.gov. Feel free to call us at 860-594-2020, 860-594-2078. And also, like Diony stated, the comment period is open through May 30th. And feel free to take a look at the project webpage for any plans that we shared today that you may need to review again to think of further questions. We'll give the attendees.
Samuel, just wanted to follow up to be thorough. I was able to look up the funding source specifically coming out of the state pot of money for this project. It's going to be funded under the Fix It First Bridge funding component of the state dollars. Thank you.
Donna has another question. As the plans move forward and move to the review of others, Will any change be available on the project webpage? In the past, we have shared some of our design to towns. In this one, I know it's more of adjacent property owners. We will coordinate Beverly more than showing the plans. We will come up with an agreement that is a good plan for you, the adjacent property owners, and a good plan for the town of Stafford and also the state for the project itself. So all coordination as they move forward, all inputs, they're taken into consideration for the design of the project. So.
Thank you, Samuel. Yes, the state of Connecticut taxpayers do fund this project fully, and we're very thankful for that. And very thankful to be part of this team to help this area and to take care of this issue. But yes, the joke is very nicely taken. Thank you.
All right. I think we're coming into the closing hours.
Yeah, I think at this time we will be ending the Zoom webinar. Thank you for joining us. If you do have any further questions, please contact us at DOT project 0134-0153 at ct.gov. Also, the phone numbers mentioned earlier, 860-594-2020, 860-594-2078. And please note the comment period is open through May 30th. Thank you all for your time. Thank you all for your questions. Have a great night.
Thank you for your time, guys. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.